Welcome back to Chasing Dreams, Homestead Dreamers. We're hanging out with Debbie Haberlin. She is doing the presentation at the spring meet and greet on all things goats. We're really thankful for that. Like I've said before, she is kicking butt and taking names in the show world, but she also has a wealth of knowledge on literally all things dairy, goats, and beyond. Would you like to tell folks about your background a little bit?
Well, I think like most people, we can say it started with 4-H. And I would love to tell you there's some great big livestock history. I grew up in Louisville. There was none of that. I was the 4-H kid that had no animals. So we moved to Indiana. My daughter was at the age to get into 4-H, and I reached out trying to learn about how it was on this side of the river. And it started with chickens, which we've learned is the gateway to all things farming.
Yes, it is.
So it's a slippery slope.
Oh, yeah.
That led, honestly, to alpacas. I had alpacas for a little bit. We ended up buying this property and literally picking out alpacas the same day.
Wow.
And along the line, a vet came out to take care of some fighting teeth and everything and trim that back on the alpacas I'd gotten, and said, "Do you know anybody that wants some goats?" So I looked at my husband and I asked him, and he said the infamous words, which we continuously joke about, "Whatever." So now I have a goat farm. These 3 little babies make it to numbers 18. As for all the animals that are here at the moment, we have 2 bucks for breeding, and then I have 15 does.
Oh, wow.
6 of which are this past year spring kids, and 2 of those I did breed because they were larger. The other ones, they were too small, so I didn't. But you know, I'm a science teacher in the real world, so I love learning all things scientific, and I love animal husbandry. I was always that kid that went to the fair that just could hang out in the barns all day.
Right.
And now I'm one of those people that brings the animals to the barn for a weekend and lives that fun life.
So I don't want to be ignorant, but what breed are these? Are these Alpines?
These are Alpines.
Okay.
I do have 3 breeds on the farm. The majority of what I have are Alpines. I do have 2 Saanens that I purchased last year, and a token sable. So,
Okay.
but they're all pointy-eared goats, so very similar looking.
Out of the 2 breeds, which breed do you think gives you more milk?
Well, you're gonna have to wait a year to ask me that one, because so far the only ones I've had in milk are the Alpines.
I got you.
I bred one of the Saanens, but she is not due till May. I went to an AI clinic and learned a little bit about artificial insemination about December, whenever that was, so about a month and a half ago. So we're hopefully going to get a blood test done soon to see if she is in fact pregnant.
There you
go. But yeah, I read a lot of stuff, and they say Alpines and Saanens are 2 of the top producers, so we'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. So beyond the goats, I noticed walking in, you've got the call ducks and the chickens. Are the goats your passion, and those are just kind of something that you have for the eggs? Or
the call ducks are my daughter's, so that she got those for 4-H, because they had somebody bring them in, and they're just cute, so she had to get some. The chickens initially started off as just something fun, and then I went a little crazy. I did at one point get up to 100 chickens.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realized enough poop for 100 chickens is not something that I enjoy.
Right.
So now I've learned a good numbers around 30 or so that I can handle without it being too disgusting. But yeah, I have gone absolutely goat crazy. I do sell products from the goats. I make caramel, I make soap, I make candles. Apparently I'm going to learn to make lotion. A lot of people ask me for that. I'm like, I'll learn, just wait till they come back in milk. So the eggs is a good way for people to get to know me. So people who come, I make nothing. When you look at the food cost and everything, you don't make anything off of the eggs, but it at least is a way for contacting people, and then they realize I do other things with goat milk, and then that kind of helps the farm out, so I can, buy really expensive things, like hay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not joking. You're not joking. Quality hay is not cheap.
It is not, but we've done really well. Our hay guy produces great stuff, and my goats thrive on it, and so. I'll go to, vendor shows and things like that just to try to help offset the cost of having my crazy animal hobby here.
I've seen that online that you do that. That's pretty cool. Is that working out pretty well for you? Or?
Yeah, I just started I did one last spring and about 4 or 5 in the fall that went pretty well. And then I've already got 2 lined up for spring. One on the day goats are due to have birth. So that'll be fun. Yeah. We'll see how that day rolls out.
How are you doing on the show circuit? Last year,
Last year, I went from rocking last place. I'm pretty new in the dairy goat world. But I did end up with my buck earned a leg. So none of my milking does didn't do anything at all, but I had 4 other does all earn their dry legs.
Nice.
So we had a good start. It was the very first show, one of my homebreds earned a leg, and it was literally, I looked at a friend saying, hey, can you just take her in there? My son and I are going to show the Sonnens, and I'm just trying to juggle goats. It was a 2-ring show. And I said, she's in the champion lineup because she was the only one in her class. And then while I'm trying to, wrangle a small child and 2 tiny baby goats, she's walking over to the winter stand, and my husband's running for the binder, and I have no idea what happened. And then I'm trying not to cry and not look stupid over there with the judge.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
It made it for a much more fun year, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. So what kind of topics are you going to cover in your talk at the meet and greet?
When you get into goats, there is so much stuff to learn. Some of it I would say the right way, try to learn about it first, but a lot of times you jump in and then you get more educated about ways you could have done it better and trying to be prepared. So for people that are looking to get goats, if they want to do the show ring, fine. If they want to get something just for milk, or even if they want to get into meat breeds, what are some, medical things to be aware of that are out there? How do you know if you're getting it from a trustworthy farm? And what should you have on hand so you're not spinning your wheels? I had a good 2 years where problems were happening and I was constantly trying to spin my wheels and catch up. Right. And, oh, well, now we've got this parasite. Oh, the medicine's $300. If you can start investing and getting that stuff in advance, then get your goats, you're going to have a much less stressful time period. I also see on a lot of goat pages, a lot of new goat people, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is happening with my goat. What do I do? And I was in the same boat. And nowadays it's just like, it's easy peasy. Like the freeze we had, I'm like, okay, everyone's talking to me. Oh my gosh, are you freaked out? No, not at all. I had all the stuff I needed. So,
right, yeah.
But it's, well, what stuff do you need, and for what reasons, and what do you want to do with it? There's so many questions, and I'm still learning. We had one of the little ones yesterday had a bleeding umbilical cord, and I was just like, okay, this is different. What do I do? And I actually had what we needed for it, and then I ended up contacting the vet later just to double check to make sure all was good, and it was. So,
what was the treatment? I'm thinking cornstarch, but I don't know.
Well, the biggest thing was the clamp, but we were just concerned, whether or not, was there an umbilical hernia or anything like that going on. So we were able to run her over and just do an ultrasound, make sure everything looked okay. But she had stopped eating. She ate one meal when she was first born, and then the next 2 wouldn't touch a bottle. She was just fighting it. So, that's concerning, especially right when they're brand new, and you want to make sure they're getting the right amount of nutrition, and it's colostrum day.
Right.
So, we gave her a little bit of meloxicam is what the vet got for her.
Oh, okay.
And then that gave her some anti-inflammatory, reduced some of the irritation and pain. And by the time we got home, which was a 10-minute drive, she was ready to eat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's been fine ever since, and everything's good.
I joke that goats have a bigger appetite than our pigs. Our pigs will get full and they'll lay down. A goat will just keep eating if you let it.
They do to a point, but I'll tell you, go offer half of my goats an apple and they will snuff you. Really? That's probably one of the biggest misconceptions of goats will eat everything. Now, I have one that will. I mean, she's a voracious idiot. But I have other ones that are just, I'll go to introduce the kids to animal crackers, and they're like,
yeah, like, what is that?
What is that garbage? And then other ones are just like, I will fight you for the animal cracker. Yep. So it just depends, and you try to offer them a few different snacks, and it's just, they can be very snobby, or if you change their hay. Because I got a little bit of grass hay. We were having some zinc issues, which is indicate, breeding, lots of breeding, too much calcium, and we have a lot of alfalfa hay because it's a dairy farm. So I'm like, okay, well, let's get some grass hay. Man, you thought I put poison in there with my bucks.
Oh, yeah.
They're finally eating it now, but they were just like, what? No, I will starve myself to death.
They've become hay snobs for sure.
Very much so.
Yep. That's awesome. We appreciate you coming out and sharing your passion with other people about goats. My wife, oh my goodness, she jumped right in head first with the goats because they're adorable,
Oh. Yeah. Let me show you my cuteness.
Right, yeah. And then, and we told a friend just yesterday, you know, we got really spoiled. Like, I would say probably the first 7 or 8 years we had goats, we never had a sickness, nothing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Indiana, and all of a sudden we're dealing with parasites we never experienced.
Oh my gosh.
We got our first ever case of pink eye. We were like, what in the world? It's just.
Well, and they'll hurt themselves. Like I had one time I came out, and I'm like, why do I see the redness of your eyes? And she'd like torn it right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, and they, you know, of course they wait till it's Sunday when everything's an emergency visit. They're very good at that.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, hi, I would like to pay more for you to look at the dumb thing my goat did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, and some of that you just can't help. But, you know, there's things here I wish that we had set up prior to getting goats that would have made it easier. It's just expensive.
It is.
You know, there's not, you know, my husband knows it's an expensive hobby that I've got right now. I'm trying to get it somewhat sustainable, but it's not a fast process.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But then you get the cuteness and you're like, it's okay, let's get 5,000 goats.
Yep, that's how she feels. When they're babies like this, she loves it. Especially the bottle babies. It was hilarious. The last time we had bottle babies, she would feed them, and while she was feeding another one would be jumping on her back.
They, you know, right now it's kind of funny because they're learning the boing. Next week they will be insane. They will be bouncing off of this wall, and it is absolutely hilarious. Then you come in to feed them, and they will maul you. So right now they're curious, but they haven't figured out how to be attack goats yet. It's coming, isn't it? You're trying. You're trying to learn to be an attack goat. Yes.
Hell
yes.
yeah. So, are you going to go over any kind of show tips in your presentation, or?
If that's something you think people are interested in, I can share what I've learned. I mean, I've only shown for the last couple of years. But, you know, I mean, if I were to give a show tip, the biggest thing is just go to one. That's your best thing. For me, trying to just explain it, it's difficult. Just find one and sign up.
Right.
You should ask me what one of my first shows was.
Go ahead, tell us.
Nationals.
Nice.
It was in Louisville.
Did you meet Mike there?
I did not. I didn't know anybody. Oh, I had a friend there, and I just went, and my goats were the two that were escaping.
Oh.
And so I had to build this crazy fortress that looked really dumb. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea how to set up a goat. So I'm just going to sign up for nationals. But I learned a lot. After, you know, I failed gloriously. I watched, and then I started looking at what they like in goats, how to purchase goats, what features they're wanting. So now I'm learning how to change my breeding program. And I went from last place goats to winning, you know, earning legs on some of the kids that I bred, like first round breeders. And what was it? I go to North American, and this one little doe placed 5th out of like 30 something in her class. So did I win anything glorious? No, but that's a big win in my book.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And then it's funny because then I showed the goats from the year before in the milking class, and they were all right back at last place again. I'm like, but you know, I'm pulling in bucks and learning enough about genetics. What do I need to do to improve where I need to go with that goat? So if you're willing to do that kind of work and know it's not a fast game to get into, you're looking at 5 to 7 years minimum to actually really get into the game. So, you know, I realized I've had goats either 4 or 5 years now. I don't know where that time went, but that's how long apparently I've had them. And
it went in hauling hay around.
Oh my gosh, it went somewhere, yeah.
Stacking hay, bringing hay down, stacking hay, bringing hay down.
Cleaning up the poopy hay.
Yeah.
The straw that's everywhere.
Absolutely. That's awesome, though. So, beyond the goats and the chickens, do you do any other homesteading type activities like a garden or anything? I know you make the goat products, and that is a homesteading type activity.
I have the black thumb of death. I fed some bugs and raccoons last year. I tried my first time at a garden. I got a bell pepper.
Oh man.
The rest was a big fat nope. I did learn just with the excessive heat we had last year that made it a little bit awkward. But I did a sad little pallet garden. If you go out, you'll see it in my front yard, which was away from all the animals. However, the goats planted a really nice pumpkin patch.
Oh yeah.
We had great pumpkins growing out here. And my son thought that was cool. He collected them all. I don't know what his plans were, because they ended up sitting on my porch well after Halloween. Then I fed them to the chickens.
Right.
But my pumpkins where my goats were much better at growing something than I was.
Oh yeah.
Though I tried, and it doesn't mean I won't stop, but
Well, there'll be an excellent gardening class at the event, so maybe you can sit in on it after
possibly,
you're done
yeah.
talking
I'm like,
goats.
if you ever want to kill a plant, just have me touch it. And except for aloe, I'm really good. I've got an aloe plant that will not die.
It's just because you can forget it.
Yeah, and it just grows
It just
bigger.
thrives the less attention you give it.
It thrives a lot, and but no, I've learned that's just I'm really good with animal husbandry.
Okay, that's
Not
awesome.
so much with plants.
Hey, that's all right. We need folks that are going to give information in all kinds of different areas. Was there anything else you want to give to the interview for the folks that are going to come out to the meet and greet?
I just look forward to meeting you guys, and if you have any questions or topics you would like me to include, hit up Chase, let him know, and then he can tell me. And I'm still working on the presentation. There's so many different places you can go, because I could probably talk about goats for 5 days straight, and I get to do it in an hour. So if there's something you want to know, share that so I can plan to incorporate that information in there.
Absolutely. You're going to talk about processing the milk a little bit?
I can
Yeah,
share what I
think,
do.
I think folks are interested in that for sure.
Okay.
Because it is a food source, so a lot of people are going to be interested in knowing that. Not only just taking care of them, but the different ways that you handle the milk. And I know you
Okay.
made some farmer's cheese this year too, didn't you?
I made the chèvre.
Yeah.
So that's how I get my husband to unload hay. I have to make cheese.
Hey,
There's
that's a
a-
good trade-off. That's a
He's
great
like,
trade-off.
there was one day I'm like, that's unloaded. I'm like, either A, I can help you, or B, I can make some cheese with this milk here. And I didn't have to unload the hay.
There you go.
It's all about life choices.
Yeah.
So I've learned to make that and some mozzarella. I made my first lasagna.
Oh,
And with that, I put fresh mozzarella on it, and we ate that up. So, there's so many things to do. It's just time. Time is the biggest thing, because then it's really easy to spend all your time out here with these critters, because they're pretty fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know about you, but it's relaxing for us.
It's
After a long,
therapeutic.
stressful day, yeah.
Yeah, especially when you
Yeah.
get to come and do this. Coming home and just trimming hooves, not so much fun.
Right.
But getting bounced by babies, I forgot how therapeutic it is, because it's
Oh, yeah.
been a year. So
It's a blast. It just really helps you decompress for sure.
it does.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you doing this interview. And I end every video by saying, until next time, y'all, keep dreaming.